What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Let's go ahead and preview the next day's worth of bowl games. Got 4 videos up for you today. These are the ones happening on December 27th. Whether you're watching this before the holidays, after the holidays, happy holidays to everybody out there watching this video. This is the Military Bowl from Annapolis, Maryland. It features the Virginia Tech Hokies out of the ACC, and the Group of 5 champion from last year fell just short in their conference title game, so they're here in the Military Bowl. It's the Tulane Green Wave. We'll dive on into everything Hokies and Green Wave here in just a little bit, but before we do, you guys know I have to say thank you for all the love and support the channel has seen as of late. It's just, again, I say it in every video, but truly, it does mean a lot to see how much this channel has grown, and you can continue to help it grow by doing anything you can to interact with the channel. Because anything you do to interact with the channel helps to support what I do here on YouTube, whether that's doing what you're doing now and watching the video, doing the big thing, subscribing, ringing the bell, or liking, commenting, sharing. You guys are helping to support what I do here. And before we go ahead and dive into it, what I will say, again, before we dive into any of it, and I've done it throughout all my bowl game preview predictions, sometimes it can be a little tricky to tell who's opted out, who's entered the transfer portal, things like that. So Hokie fans, Green Wave fans, if I miss the names, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot for the Green Wave. In fact, I'm looking at my list right now. There are quite a lot for the Tulane Green Wave. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to hear what you guys have to say. But let's go ahead and dive on in to this game. We are going to start with the Virginia Tech Hokies, and again, maybe to some a surprise season. I know to me, this team played a little bit better than what I thought they were really capable of this year. But hey, this is a team that is filled with talent, and offensively, this team is led by the run. They have a ton of phenomenal running backs in this room. Most notably is Bashal Tootin, who has 727 yards and 8 touchdowns. I probably butchered that name. I apologize sincerely. Malachi Thomas is another really good option back there. And then their quarterback as well in Kyron Drones, 1,993 passing yards, and has a touchdown interception ratio of 15-3, so 5-1 in the touchdown interception ratio. Is also the team's second leading rusher with 642 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, Drones does have the ability to hit a deep shot down the field. His long is 84, not necessarily his game, but he definitely has the arm strength to be able to sling it downfield. Loves to get outside of the pocket and run. Those 3 names that I've mentioned are all averaging at least 4.4 yards per carry, the lowest of that being the quarterback Drones, and again, sack yardage being included in that as well. And you listen to me say that Drones only 3 picks on the year. When former Marshall transfer and the backup Grant Wells comes in, he's only thrown 2 picks. Granted, does have a ton less pass attempts than what Kyron Drones has this year, but this is an offense that just simply doesn't turn the football over. They only have 13 turnovers on the year. However, everything else with this offense is kind of meh. The run game, yes, it's fantastic as a team. They average 4.7 yards per carry and have 17 total rushing touchdowns, but the pass game can be hit or miss. The offensive line is not super fantastic, and it's not really a great team on third down. However, defensively, they do a lot of those things really, really well. They don't necessarily force turnovers in bunches, but they're a really good team at being able to generate pressure. They have 38 sacks on the season. While the rush defense can be hit or miss, the pass defense is really, really good. Taking a look at stats now, 32 pass defended, 7 picks, but they don't really give up the big plays a whole lot. And again, 38 sacks. You have production coming from everywhere. Most notably is Antoine Powell-Ryland, who has 9.5 sacks so far this year. No one else on the team has more than 5. So besides him, the pass rush can really come from anywhere. And then go ahead and taking a look at some other players here, especially in that secondary. You really feared that Derek Canteen was not going to be playing in this game. He did enter the transfer portal, but he is going to be playing here in this bowl game. Probably the team's best defensive back. He is really, really good. 5 passes defended on the year, tied that with the team's leading tackler and Kelly Lawson. He is a linebacker back there. Alan Tisdale's another really, really good defensive player as well. And I didn't mention that on the offensive end, they are going to be without Daquan Wright. He has entered the transfer portal as 3rd on the team in receiving yards. But all in all, hey, pretty good offense, pretty good defense. How do they match up with the Tulane Green Wave? Well, for starters, before we dive on into anything with Tulane, I will say that, look, you don't just get 11 wins by lucking a lot of games out, right? This is a Tulane team that is a pretty darn good. when you compare them to last year's team, they definitely are not as good as last year's team. And again, the American Athletic was just not as good as it was last season. That, again, due in part to because Cincinnati left and Houston left and UCF left, and the schedule just happened to get easier for Tulane, but they did fight with the Ole Miss Rebels. This is the team that has a lot of fight in them. No, they're probably not as good as last year, but let's go ahead and look at the stats. Well, for starters, before we do that, I mean, they are missing just an absolute ton of talent. Michael Pratt in the transfer portal, so you figured, okay, that means Kai Horton is going to play. Nope, he's in the transfer portal as well, so who's going to be that quarterback? The only other guy that's thrown a pass for them this year is Justin Ibieta, and I probably butchered that name, so I apologize, but it'll be really interesting to see who ends up playing quarterback for this Tulane team. And then whoever happens to play quarterback is going to be without a couple of really key weapons there as well in the pass catching room, as Chris Brazel has also entered his name into the transfer portal, 44 catches, 711 yards, and 5 touchdowns, as well as Alex Bauman, that tight end, 273 yards and 5 touchdowns for him. Now, to my knowledge, guys like Lawrence Keys and Jaquan Jackson are still going to be playing, and then I haven't really seen a whole lot of news about whether or not Mekhi Hughes is going to opt out. He is almost a 1,300-yard rusher, has 7 rushing touchdowns on the season. This is an offense that can be plagued by turnovers. Again, much like Virginia Tech, the offensive line is not great, and while it's better at Virginia Tech on third downs, again, it's still not fantastic. However, defensively, that's where a lot of the strengths of this team lies. This is a really, really good defensive front. Now, it's going to be without Devin Neal and Keith Cooper as well. Keith Cooper has 5 sacks. Devin Neal has 4, and that is just a huge hamper on what this team does defensively, especially being able to create the pass rush and forcing turnovers as well. They have 25 turnovers forced on the year, and again, you have 34 generated sacks. You're losing 9 of those with the transfer portal, or I guess with the loss in the transfer portal of Deal, my apologies, not Neal, Devin Deal and Cooper. But to my knowledge, you still are going to have Darius Hodges, 7.5 sacks for him on the season. Patrick Jenkins has 5.5 sacks. And then Cameron Hamilton has 4 sacks of his own as well. This is a really, really good rush defense as well. The pass defense definitely could get tested against drones here, but again, it's strength on strength. It's the Virginia Tech run game against the Tulane run defense. It leads me into my what to watch for. They're kind of like your keys to the game. It's just some things I think you should keep an eye on while you're paying attention to this one. If you are Virginia Tech, offensively, the plan is simple. All you have to do against this Tulane defense is, yes, you're going to have to sort of solve this rush defense here for Tulane, because again, that is where the strength of Virginia Tech lies. But again, this is the team that has run the ball almost 100 times, or I should say it's run the ball over 100 times more than it's passed it this year. They will find their groove in the run game. They are going to have their moments. They're going to have their big plays. All you have to do is keep the chains moving and remain efficient offensively. Keep pounding away in that ground game. Tulane, look, is a really, really good defensive front, but even with those transfer portal losses that they have, they're not really going to be able to stop it all the time. Keep grinding away at the run, and then let Kyron Drones take advantage of the secondary. That might be a little bit weaker, especially now that another guy I didn't mention, DJ Douglas, has also entered the transfer portal. Have him be able to take shots down the field as well. The defense will bend in this game. Tulane, still with all those transfer portal losses, have some really good pieces on offense, and that especially is going to be true if Mekhi Hughes ends up playing. But the defense cannot break. Too often this year, we've seen this Hokie defense bend and then break. It can't do that here, but I think the Hokie pass rush has some takeover ability. We'll get back to that in a second, but let's get over to Tulane. With quarterback play, a question mark. Again, you really don't know who's going to play quarterback because Michael Pratt is gone. Kai Horton is gone. The only other guy that's thrown the pass for them is Ibieta, and he may not even start in this game either. So you need to rely on the run game. That's especially going to be true if Mekhi Hughes plays. Again, almost a 1,300-yard rusher this year. He is an X factor. If he decides to play here in this game, which again, I've seen no real indications that he's not going to play, but if Mekhi Hughes doesn't play, this is a run game that really could struggle. Now, you do still have some really good running backs back there, right? Arnold Barnes is there, Shotty Clayton Johnson, even a guy like Cedro Lewis, who came over from Liberty this past season, was figuring to take over that role. You can rely on this run game even if Mekhi Hughes isn't playing, and then all your quarterback has to do is manage the game, not turn the football over, pretty much do everything that a quarterback has to do to win you a football game. The run defense will have to hold up. Again, it is strength on strength. It's the rush offense of Virginia Tech versus the rush defense of Tulane. Going to be one of the more interesting battles to watch here in this game, and heck, throughout bowl season as well. But if you are Tulane, keys to winning this game, especially with the ton of transfer portal losses that you have, you need to continue to force the turnovers here. Again, this is not a Virginia Tech team that turns the football over a lot. Tulane's going to have to force turnovers, and the battle on third downs is imperative. If you can win third downs here, you're going to have a really good shot, because Virginia Tech, not a great team here on third down. However, like I said, I think this Virginia Tech pass rush has game takeover capabilities. I think this is a really, really good pass rush. It's very, very scary. It can come from anywhere. You have no significant losses in the transfer portal, and Tulane, I think, is just losing way too many pieces. I think Tulane has just enough pieces out to really make a huge difference. Now, who knows? Maybe Tulane comes in and quarterback play surprises, and they pull something out of their out of their hat that surprises all of us. But I'm going with the Virginia Tech Hokies here in this game. I absolutely love this rush defense. I love this rush offense. I think they match up really well with Tulane, and I think they'll get that extra possession that'll really help them out off of a Tulane turnover, as the Green Wave have been turnover prone in the past couple of games. 30-23 is the way I see this one playing out. Let me know how you see it playing out in the comment section below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.